Of all the atheist philosophers I've ever read, Friedrich Nietzsche just might be my favorite. I was encouraged to read Friedrich Nietzsche in college by a professor who said that he is the most existential, nihilistic, whiniest, contradictory philosopher I would ever enjoy reading. And they were absolutely right. From Beyond Good and Evil to the classic Thus Spoke Zarathustra to my most recent read, The Antichrist, originally written in 1895, which is his attack against Christianity, Nietzsche is never boring. He's always thoroughly engaging, and he has a wonderful prose system that he writes in. It's thoroughly enjoyable to read. Even when you disagree with him, you like how he explains his thoughts and his opinions. But The Antichrist. Nietzsche... This is probably the pinnacle of Nietzsche's attacks against Christianity, but it also may be one of the best examples of everything wrong with Nietzsche's writings. Nietzsche's a lot of bark and no bite. When it comes to philosophy, you make a statement, and then you defend that statement, and somebody attacks your statement, you have to show how their attack is false, bad, flawed, whatever. Nietzsche doesn't do that. He makes claims and then rarely defends them. The beginning of the book starts with questions like, what is good? And Nietzsche says, power. The might and the power. Then he says, well, what's bad? And he says, to be honest, like sympathy and pity. Anything that goes against power. Well, then what is happiness? More power. But he never defends these propositions. He continues to go on and say that Christianity is a religion of pity, therefore it is anti-reality. In fact, everything within Christianity is against reality. God, person, individual... imaginary beings. Heaven, hell, imaginary places. Sin, salvation, imaginary effects and causes. All of it doesn't touch reality. Well, why is he saying this? Well, that's because Nietzsche has very much embraced Darwinian evolution. That only the fittest survive through natural selection, and that might does, in fact, equal right. But again, he never defends this. On page 51 of this book, he makes an interesting claim. He says that even if the Christian God were proven to be true, that gives us all the more reason to disbelieve in Christianity and the God they purport to be real. If that sounds like a contradiction to you, it's because it is. We find that Nietzsche's issues with Christianity actually have very little to do with how he interprets the world. In fact, he says that if Christianity matches up with the interpretation, or if Christianity is the correct interpretation and mine is wrong, nope, I can't do that. I'm not going to live in that world. I'm not going to be a part of it. I have all the more reason to not believe in Christianity. So we see that Nietzsche's problems with Christianity go beyond reason and logic and his interpretation, and it really boils down to a heart set against God. His arguments are constantly emotional. They're very contradictory and full of logical problems and fallacies. So should you read Nietzsche? I think that you should. I really do. I think Nietzsche is one of the best writers that shows the emotional antagonism towards Christianity rather than the logical and evidential arguments against Christianity. At the end of the day, we are emotional beings. We're going to make gut, instinctual, split-second decisions that we really do care about how we feel and how things make us feel. And that's not in and of himself a bad thing. But Nietzsche's feelings seem to govern his antagonism and attack against Christianity far more than reason, logic, and a careful reading and careful comparison of other religions. So, should you read Nietzsche? I think you should. I think you should start with Beyond Good and Evil. I think you should then move on to The Antichrist, and then I think you should read Thus Spoke Zarathustra. These are good books that clearly explain a man's emotional anger towards Christianity, and he does it in a really eloquent and beautiful way. Nietzsche's arguments ultimately fail, but I still think he's an atheist that you should read.